January, we talked about like a basic outline of what it's going to take to get a mortgage to buy a house.
Right.
So this month, we're going to talk about specific credit improvement strategies. Next month, we'll go more in depth to once you've improved your credit, how do you keep it that way and apply for a mortgage? What's the difference between, a soft credit pull, hard credit pull? Can you shop around to find the best deal on a mortgage, that sort of thing? But this month, let's rewind and we'll talk mostly about a few questions I have that I know people have asked me, and Ronnie can answer better than I can. So that's
Perfect.
why we're talking. For
Yeah.
example, why shouldn't I totally pay off my credit card? Like if I can, the money's there, why don't I want to just pay my whole credit card off when I have a balance on it?
So honestly, it's kind of if you think of it this way, it's kind of a game. So with the repository, so like your TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, you notice how their numbers fluctuate and they're never the same. It's because they
Mhm.
score differently, and there's really no definitive answer though of how each repository scores a consumer, right? So for instance, if you have a Credit Karma account, you kind of see comparison of the two TransUnion, the TransUnion and then the Equifax credit score. They're never the same, and it's because of those different scoring. So ultimately, you don't want to pay off a credit card fully to zero, because one of those ways that those repositories score you is by your utilization of that credit card. So say you get you get approved for your first credit card, you get approved for a $500 limit. You use maybe $50 a month and you pay it all the way down to zero, and you leave it to zero for 3 months. You don't use that card again. It just kind of sits in your wallet, or you forgot about it. Um, they want you to use the credit card, because the way that
Right.
they score you is how basically your utilization is reporting to them, showing them of your borrowing power. So you're going to show them that you are using it, paying it down, using it, paying it down. And as long as whatever the balance is that you accrue on that card, again, we spoke about this last month, rule of thumb is 30% of that balance, 30% utilization of that balance, no more
Right.
than 30%. But also you don't want to be at zero all the time either. So leaving $10, $30, $50 as a balance on there, and let that accrue into the next cycle, the cycling statement. That's how they're scoring you. Again, there's no definitive answer or level of the credit utilization, other than just that rule of thumb of 30%. Again, utilizing the credit card, don't leave it at zero balance. Use it for use it here and there. Pay it down. Don't completely pay it off. Leave a small balance, and then they're going to rate you on that utilization.
And that goes perfectly into the next question, of course, is so maybe I'm not that experienced with using credit, or maybe I'm scared of using credit. I run into that a lot actually
Right.
when I'm like, they have no credit score, a buyer, a potential buyer, because they just maybe had a bad experience when they were younger. And then they're like, cut up all the credit cards, never use them
Right.
again. So if you're going to start with a credit card, it probably is good to start with like a 500 or just $1,000 limit, right?
Yep.
Then
Absolutely.
what do I want to be spending it on? If it's a revolving door of credit, it's got to be things I'm doing every month, right?
Yep. Yep.
So what kinds of things are we talking? Like, what should I be spending money on?
The
Spending credit
necessities.
on?
Yeah, exactly. So honestly, just the necessities. I mean, instead of using your debit card from your personal account, for fuel, use the credit card, fill up your car. And then, you're going to the grocery store, use your credit card. So whatever the balance you would have used from your personal account, put that on the credit card and then pay it down. Again, don't pay it all the way off. Pay it down, before that statement cycles. So again, necessities, groceries, gas, a night out on the town, Valentine's Day is coming up. Little
As
mini
long as you're not
vacations.
going to like $1,000 a night hotel or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. And so
Just do
really
the
you don't have to spend the full amount of the balance that you're allotted. It's
You
just
don't
a
want
few
to,
bucks
right?
here
It
and
was
there.
that
No,
30, you want to
again,
be at 30% of
exactly.
your allotted
Yep.
credit amount.
Yep.
So say I
And
have 1,000, I don't want to really go over that $300 mark, and just tell
correct.
yourself, hey, my limit's actually $300, not $1,000 on this card.
Yep,
So
exactly.
that makes sense.
1000%. Yeah. That's definitely, it's one of the big factors that I do, or deterrents with, say first time home buyers who don't have credit established. They think, oh wow, I got approved for a $10,000 credit card, and then they go and rack it up to 10,000, and maybe they're young and they don't have, someone just didn't guide them, correctly when they were racking up all these credit cards, and then now, they're in debt, and now because they've maxed that utilization, now their score did the total opposite. So
Right.
definitely keep it minimal, keep it at or below that 30%.
Yeah.
Necessities.
Button it up.
Yep, exactly. I like that.
So then my other question is, I've heard, I think from a lender at one point in time, I talk to lenders all the time. They were
Yep.
like saying that you should pay your credit card bill early, a few days before its actual due date. I know on my credit cards, like I set the due date. I told them,
Right.
I want to have this be my due date. But they were saying you want to pay the bill, have the bill auto pay. And I have I have my credit cards all set up on auto pay.
Right.
I can't remember. So I can't remember those things. Yes. And I recommend that if you're going to use credit
Oh
cards, just
yeah,
make sure you have
absolutely.
auto pay,
Yes.
but set the date that you want the auto pay to come out, and have it be, like the day after you get your paycheck or something.
Yep. Yeah.
And a few days early, does that make a difference?
It can. So again, so say you have, you're right at your 30% utilization, and your statement cycles say on the 31st of the month, you make an early payment. So say, like you said, you have an auto payment, for maybe say the minimal payment due, right, for that statement cycle. By making, essentially what's going to happen is you're going to make a second payment, essentially. So keeping your due date payment, right? So whether it's the minimum or you're paying above, to answer your question, yes, it definitely boosts you quite a bit if you do make an additional payment before that next statement cycle.
And it doesn't have to be a big one.
It does not have to be a big one. Nope. And same with the actual, the direct payment, right? It's going to ask you, when you set up the auto pay, do you want to do the minimum, or do you want to do an additional on top of the minimum? It's okay to do the minimal, obviously, because you don't ever want to be late on any revolving debt, right? So as long as you make a payment, great. But best recommendation to set yourself up to be financially savvy is make an additional $20 payment. If you can't make an additional $20 payment, tell it to make an additional $5 payment every month, and you will start seeing that score accrue monthly. Again, just based on that $5 monthly or $5 increase on that payment. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much. That
Yeah.
is helpful. And I think credit can be a scary thing for people if they've either gotten into too much debt and, had a hard time climbing out of it, or never used it at all and just heard only negative about it. But you actually need it to buy a house. Like, I don't know hardly anybody, unless they've bought other homes and taken that equity to buy the next house with cash, that hasn't bought their first house with quite a large mortgage. And you've got to build your credit to do that. So I think this is an important conversation.
It is, and it's ongoing conversations, right? It's not just just first time home buyers. It's established home buyers, right?
Yeah.
It's always good to just re-educate yourself. Lenders, again, we're here to walk you through all those steps. Me particularly, if it's the credit score isn't quite where we need to be, we're gonna get you there. It's again what we spoke about last month. It's not a no, it's just not a not right now. We work through it. We will, we're gonna help you be financially stable to be able to qualify for a new home mortgage. So
yay. Yeah. Thanks, Ronnie.
Hey, thank you. We'll be in touch.
Okay, talk to you soon. Bye.